You sleep last night?
Yes, I've been dreaming a lot. Last night, well, I don't know if I'm dreaming or remembering. Dreams do that, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
I think they do. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Science Fiction Remnant. I am not your dead wife.
Oh no, I hope you're not. This is KO 2.0.
I am Robert.
My wife's dead.
Now we're gonna call it your dead wife. Who do we have down under?
You, your host down in Australia, mad scientist Ray.
Are you working on my not dead wife?
Yeah. Sure.
What have you guys been watching?
I have been again. I guess I am officially addicted. Demon Lord 2099.
Oh yeah.
I would have to say again, and I think I repeat this every time. If you like cyberpunk, you have to watch this because it's unique.
Wait,
And if you like
wait.
systematized magic systems,
Magic
It
systems,
is.
cyberpunk, sci-fi, all put in a blender and smush it all
Fantasy.
together. In fact,
throw in a demon lord, throw in some gods. Yeah, you're good.
VTubers.
there you go.
No, YouTubers, no VTubers, because he shows his face. Melty.
Well, oh my god, it's amazing. I'm actually the last one that I left it at. They had the duel, and of course
Oh,
Oh yeah.
with the snob elf boy.
he beat the living crap out of him. But that was expected.
That was a real schooling, man.
Now, another thing that I've been doing is I have been playing this tiny little game from my youth that brings me a lot of nostalgic feelings.
Tiny
Uh,
little. I thought that you were all for greatness, man.
Lunar the Silver Star.
Oh yes.
Now, I'm going to leave it up to Gio. I cannot give you some context on it, and actually posted a video on our YouTube channel. On our Discord. So if you join our Discord, so you can see that video. Gio, based on all that information, do you feel Lunar is sci-fi? Because
Yes.
I am.
Absolutely.
Okay. I
I
just
did watch. I did watch the rundown video too, with all the lore in all the parts that were made for the game throughout many consoles, and definitely it is sci-fi. It's not adjacent. It is sci-fi. It has a lot of post-apocalyptic sci-fi, and also it has a good touch with how like it blends, just like Demon Lord 2099. It's a good actually segue to it that you mentioned that, because it relates a lot like fantasy and sci-fi. How can they blend perfectly
yeah,
beautifully? And on top of that, I mean, it's a work of art. I mean, it's like you're playing to get new scenes of anime back to back as you progress, which is pretty cool actually. It reminds me a lot of when I used to play Grandia,
yeah,
which is far after. But they mentioned also in that video a lot of titles that came on the same time with it that are great titles throughout all the time, like Trails of Mana. Uh, they also mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, Chrono Trigger,
yeah.
and these are just few of the titles that they compare it to that came with it that are very good. That I'm sure that most of you that are watching right now can relate to, have played one or the other for sure.
Yeah. And I can't wait for Ray once you watch that video to let me know what is your thought. Do you feel it is sci-fi or not? So that's going to be the question.
Yeah, I'll get to it. I promise.
Now, another thing before I get to the last thing that is sci-fi related, that I've been doing is the we are actually I am trying. I think I have a week on it now to convert, or I should say, port over the gameplay of Lunar, the Silver Star, not the other ones, right? Just Lunar, the Silver Star, into
Complete.
a D&D format. So if that's your wheelhouse, and you want to help out, join our Discord and reach out to me, and I'll get you involved in it. I think I have about a week on it now. I kind of have most of the mechanics ready, and it plays like it would play on the game. So I'm kind of happy about that. Now, the last thing is this game came out, I want to say about a year ago, and I did not. I wanted to buy it, but I couldn't at the time. And I am glad to say that I finally bought it. In a way, it was a good thing because I spent a lot less than I would have spent. The bad thing is that I missed out on the story, and this is Star Trek Resurgence. Um, as a matter of fact, I started playing the game and I realized that there was some prequels in the form of 5 comic books. So what I had to do is I went to Amazon, got the comic books, read all 5, and then deleted my progress on the game and started over again.
Talk about Robert being Robert.
Reset.
Reset. Total reset. Now, one of the things.
Not total reset. Typical Robert.
Now,
Wrinkle?
yeah. What I would have to say is one of the things that I like the most about this game, and I wish most other games would do this. There's only, and I'm going to mention there's one that does this, but there's not that many. And I keep on forgetting the name of the stupid game. God. But
it is Mass Effect. I remember.
Mass Effect. Thank you. So the only other game that I can think of that I own that does this is Mass Effect. So you have your encounters with the NPCs, and there's kind of multiple answers that you have to respond to a question. Multiple choice, basically, typically 3. And depending on your answer is how the game would progress and how you can, come close to certain NPCs and stuff like that. Which if you ever play Mass Effect, in my opinion, one of the best sci-fi games ever made, one of them. This is another one. And I would say because of the other reason, the game plays as you are watching, kind of like exactly the same as if you were watching an episode of The Next Generation, TNG. If you're a fan of The Next Generation, Star Trek with Picard and stuff like that, this would be the game for you. It really took me by surprise because how it starts just like an episode where you have the scroll, the credits of all the people involved in that episode. You have the credit to Gene Gottenberry, and then he moves on to the title of the episode, which actually took me by surprise. So every scene that you go through has a title, just like the episodes on the Star Trek episodes that you would watch. And everything is entangled. So you'll see your favorite, most beloved characters show up in this game. So I would have to say,
do you get a start date, blah 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 blah, captain's log, blah, blah. At the beginning?
Yes, it plays
cool.
exactly like an episode of Star Trek, and I'm so on for it. So if you love Star Trek, you are doing yourself a disservice not playing this. But if you like Mass Effect, this is another one that I want to call this Mass Effect and this best sci-fi, especially because I love Star Trek games made. So if you haven't played it, give it a try. I feel bad that I didn't buy it when it came out because I feel like I missed out, but I'm really enjoying it right now. And that is the last thing that I did sci-fi related.
Hey, Chaos, you've got a massive list here. What have you been doing sci-fi?
Yeah, you go first, man.
Me? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a massive.
Well, I'm further ahead in Demon Lord 2099 than everyone else because I've watched the last episode and it was probably the best wrap up of a season that I've seen this season. As in all of the animes that are coming to an end for the end of the year, I think it had the best wrap up. And
really,
I got to.
That's coming from the guy that had to
Yep.
give it a second chance.
The guy who was going to give it up after the first episode because it looked so cheesy. I mean,
But I get you. I get you because when I watched this, I was like, hold on a second. How is this sci-fi?
I put it down to slow start, good finish. Because really you did. I have to thank you, Gio. I have to thank you for making me watch some more of this because I would have missed out. It is a very, very good show.
Oh, it's so good, man.
It's like magical cyberpunk in Akihabara. How can you go wrong?
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, it's not the same because this one is more wholesome in that aspect. We're dealing with immortals, but in the aesthetics aspect, I loved it just as much as I like Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Yeah. And they didn't like a lot of these animes. They go, oh, we've got 12 episodes, so we'll just drag the story out and have some slow eps, and we'll have one arc. And it's like, no, we're squeezing two in this fucker. Here we go.
Yeah.
and they smash out the first arc in like 7 episodes, and then the remaining 5 episodes they smash another arc out. And I'm like, this is good storytelling. There's no wasted space. I really enjoyed it. So I think Cyberpunk 2077. Sorry, what am I saying? Demon Lord 2099. We've all got year numbers on them. It's confusing me. Demon Lord 2099 is one of the standouts for the anime season, and it's got sci-fi aspects in it too. So awesome.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, the Demon Lord talks down a god. Interesting.
Absolutely.
But I think Vetol, the Demon Lord, his character is quite unique in that everybody thinks he's an evil fucker, but he's not. Yeah. He's just got his opinions and he sticks to them. And there's a lot of characters that in these shows that they don't seem like the same person every episode. They sort of flop around and they don't stick to their guns. No, Vetol's like, this is how I am, suck it up.
I think that the moment that he woke up and he faced the immortal that was taking over the city, Marcus, that was a turning point for him, and the real wake up, not his revival, but the real wake up moment that defined who he was for the rest of the arc and the season. Because he was who he was, and times changed, and he understood that, and actually it helped him see the importance of his subjects. Actually,
I really appreciate that character growth.
Oh yeah.
Although he wasn't still that evil at the very beginning when he was having the fight, you could tell there was a childlike curiosity to him, and just in his interaction with the hero. So I agree with you on that scene.
And there was when he asked for his help to self Makima. I think that was a turning point that showed how far he has reached to become humble.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't necessarily agree that he's humble. He knows, like he's got that sort of long immortal view on things. Like he's seen it all kind of deal because he lived for so long. And while he's like you're correct, he's curious about the new era. He's still like, yeah, I still know what's going on. I still know what's in people's hearts. I've seen enough of the world that this does not. None of this surprises me. I'll just deal with it. And it's that unique perspective that I think makes him an awesome character.
Oh yes, definitely, absolutely.
I mean, like anybody else would have been like, "Holy fucking god, how am I going to deal with this?" He's like, "Nah, I can deal with this. This is Tuesday."
Definitely.
Nice. Okay, what's next?
What else? Yeah, of course, Dan. So pissed off.
Yeah.
I have to wait 6 months to find out what happens to Momo, the bastard.
Yeah.
But at least we get more Dan in the second half of 2025. So
there's a guy that never gave it up.
That's a great song. If anybody wants to check that out, it'll get stuck in your head for weeks. I warn you right now, but
worth it.
do a YouTube search for Dan to Dan opening and
Creepy
enjoy.
Creepy Nuts.
Creepy Nuts. Creepy Nuts are awesome.
What's it?
Yep.
What's a great name for a band?
Yeah.
Yes. They have good
Well,
songs, man.
it fits the storyline too.
Yep, definitely.
Because his nuts did creep off and disappear for a while.
I mean,
Definitely.
just listen to the theme, the opening theme for another great episode. That I mean, another great anime that Gio likes is Call of the Night, and of course,
yes. Oh my god, one of my wife.
Season 2 of that's in the works too, apparently.
And of course, you mentioned another one, a great one, which is Marshall.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're all over. I think this group, this musicians, they're hitting it out of the park.
Not only that, but I mean, the soundtrack is a different artist, but the soundtracks for Demon Lord 2099, I love that song, man. Wow, what a song!
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Speaking of awesome anime openings, the next anime I was going to mention actually, Gun Gale Online, SAO Alternative, season 2, which just wrapped up as well, which I really enjoyed. That has an awesome opening as well. I was listening to that while I was traveling over and over and over again.
Nice. Hey, Gio,
I recommend checking it out.
I just got to mention this to you, Gio. Now you understand why. Because I remember at the beginning, you were wondering why I keep on listening to the intros of my anime. Now you understand, right?
There's I guess that I'm still an eclectic. I have an eclectic taste for music because it's not every anime that I like. You know?
It's understandable.
Right now, I can say only Demon Lord 2099 and Dan Darang. Even Marshall, I like it, but I'd rather just listen to it on my Spotify list than listening to it every time. But those two, like, oh my god, I'm in love with the songs.
Well, I know that you started watching Gun Gale Online, Gio, so if you get to season 2, you will find the opening pretty damn awesome,
I will probably.
Yeah, I gotta pick up on that one. I watched season 1, but I don't think I've watched season 2 yet. So
I just started first episode and I haven't even finished it. I need to.
Oh man,
season
I have
2
something more
good.
important to do: reading a book, a light novel.
Oh yeah.
In fact, there's parallels between the second arc in season 2 of Gun Gale Online and Archive. There are parallels.
Oh.
And I wonder what book. You know, Gio, did you know? I don't know.
Due to keeping the trust with the author, I am not at the liberty of saying.
However,
but I can only say this: in the future, we will say what it is, and it's so good. It is sci-fi.
However, you want to be in the need to know basis. You know what to do. You gotta join our Discord. So, and of course, we're derailing Ray here. So
entirely, but that's okay. And of course, not only Gio, but another friend of the pod, Angelus, both started new games. When I say new games, it's the same game. Cyberpunk 2077, they've started new times around playing the game again. And I've been watching both of them playing on Discord game streams, which has got me so interested. And of course, it's winter sale time, which would be summer sale time down here in Australia. And so the games are, 40% off. So I bit the bullet and bought Cyberpunk 2077. Nice. So I'll be getting into that as well. So
you get to enjoy it more than us, man, because basically Jealous is doing the same thing that me. Thank you, but not thank you, CD Projekt. I kind of get what you guys did, but damn it, they just reset all my stats because they put so much new stuff into the game with the very last update that they made. So basically, all my perks and everything are 0 out, and I didn't know how to go about it because I have my build made, and that's something that you kind of make the call along the progress of your game. So once you're like all finished, it's like, what do I do with all this now?
Yeah. Well, I'll be coming to you for hints, tricks, and help, Gio. I think because
yeah, man.
It looks looks pretty full on. I mean, I've played Cyberpunk role playing game before, so I've got some idea of the milieu. But yeah, it'd be a bit of a steep learning curve, I think, to start with.
Oh, you like it? Trust me.
Stream it in Discord so we can.
So you can watch me fail.
Yeah.
If you play like Angelus, yeah, you're gonna fail because Angelus plays like he's immortal, and then just keeps on dying.
Well, technically, you are in a game, right?
Yeah, not really, because it says flatline, load checkpoint, very big in red when you
Exactly, but you get to go to a your character doesn't die. You don't create a new character.
die. Oh yeah, thankfully.
So you're immortal.
Well, we better get to what Gio's been doing, or we'll
Gio has
our recommendations.
All right, so me, I've been rewatching Cyberpunk Edge Runners because I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077.
Nice.
And I've been playing Trauma Drama, which, if you didn't know, you got to be a Cyberpunk 2077 player for that. It is a mini game inside of Cyberpunk game. It's like a little arcade machine that you go inside the game and you play a game inside the game.
Inception? Much?
Yep, pretty much. It's like Contra, but you're playing it inside of Cyberpunk. I find it hilarious, say that it's a game inside a game. I've been watching Demon Lord 2099. I'm all caught up with that. SAO Alternative Gun Gale Online, which I started this episode and I was not able to finish it. I did a restart of Made in Abyss, which not Robert approved, but I would love to see him watching it.
You wanna kill me?
I've watched about 3/4 of the first season of that, and it wasn't really grabbing me.
If you continue, it's gonna grab you in the gut and twist it.
Oh, joy.
Let me tell you. Let me put it in simple words. I was watching an 1.5 to 2 hour documentary about why the villain in Made in Abyss is worse than Griffith, which is considered the most vile, evil villain in the whole history of manga and anime, from Berserker. And yes, the bad guy on Made in Abyss is horrendous living being. I also been doing a rewatch of Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Nice.
I started and finished. It's a short anime called 3x3i. It's from early 90s. Pretty cool, cyberpunkish, fantasy adjacent. And I've been playing a little bit of Lunar the Silver Star Complete too, which it's been pretty cool. Like I already said what I had to say about the game is great. I think that you should go and give it a try if you like that nostalgia and seeing anime scenes with a lot of emotion and work put into it. And that's all for my to watch list on this episode.
Ooh.
Nice. Okay, so I guess we can move on to the next segment. We are Science Fiction Remnant.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are Monorats.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable and Open Pike Night.
This is Sci-Fi.
Are you a sci-fi fan?
Yes.
Are you?
I think you probably know that.
I think so. Now you put me to doubt myself.
I like to think that if you watch this show, you're a sci-fi fan. I think. I hope. If you're a sci-fi fan, and if you are not following the hashtag, this is sci-fi, I think you're missing out. There's a couple of reasons. If you are a fan of sci-fi, you just like us. I mean, we have to create this podcast so we can get our voices out because we love sci-fi so much, and we love all kinds of sci-fi. So if you are your typical sci-fi fan, you have that one love that you can't stop talking about, and you're posting on your social media about that one thing that you love so much, your favorite IP on sci-fi. All you gotta do is at the end of that post, you add the hashtag this is sci-fi. And this is what's gonna happen. People that are fans of sci-fi will actually who follow that hashtag will actually see and read your post. And for people that have not been exposed to that one thing you like so much, will be exposed, but not just your regular exposure. And this is, I actually seen it happen. They will see your passion. Because that's one thing that we can say about sci-fi fans. When you have that thing that you love so much, you have passion for it. And they will see your passion and they will be curious enough to go check it out. And two things could happen. One, that person will find another sci-fi love and add to their collection. And you have someone else that not only will thank you for introducing them to your passion, um, but you have conversations with someone else. Or you will discover other fans of your IP and you gain new friends. And this is pretty much how it had happens for all of us here. We have gained so many friends over the years thanks to the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi. And it's kind of cool because and again, if you're new, you probably haven't heard me talk about this before. But at the beginning, when we started this during season 1, I still could talk about my sci-fi love in whatever communities there are on social media. But the issue that I found was that I would have to go to the Star Trek corner to talk Star Trek, or Star Wars corner to talk Star Wars. This is a corner where you can talk about everything all at once.
Like I do. I go to the Star Wars corners to talk about Star Trek, and to the Star Trek corners to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, but you're a shit stirrer. We're used to that.
And the other coin of this is, if you're a creator, right? As a sci-fi fan, if you are like us, that we love multiple things and we're always searching for that new sci-fi thing, it is very easy to hit a wall, and then you're like, okay, now what am I gonna watch? I have a hole in my heart. I finished that one thing that I can't get anymore. Like, for example, I just finished an entire rewatch of Star Trek, and I ran out of stuff to watch for Star Trek. That's, of course, that's just an example. But if you are a creator, you have that thing, that new thing. It's your baby. You created. All you got to do is just post the hashtag This Is Sci-Fi at the end of your post. And you have people that otherwise would not be familiar with your creation be exposed enough that they will give it a try. And why you say it? Because who better to have passion about a thing than the creator? So you have new people discovering things, and you have our things, because as fans of sci-fi, we're always looking for that one new thing. And I would have to say, before we move on, I want to thank the newest wave of people that are added to the This Is Sci-Fi hashtag. They happens to be writers and authors. And the reason why I want to thank them is because, and again, if you're not watching our YouTube channel, you have no idea why I got derailed.
This is what Geo does.
So just remember, if you want to know exactly what's going on, just all you got to do is just wait a month, go into our YouTube channel and watch our episode. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It is the free thing that you could do to help this show. And we are so close. We are so close to the
close.
mark. So please help us out. Tell your friends, tell your family, use your elderly father's account to subscribe, and
Set up an account for your dog.
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
Bad influence coming from Robert. What is going on? What is going on here?
Don't do that. I'm just joking around. But yes, tell your friends, tell your family, help us out. We're so close to hitting that 500 mark. So if you're a creator, this is sci-fi hashtag, and make sure you follow it. Anything else you guys like to add to the segment before we move on?
What about the number?
Oh, there is a number. You guys knew there is a number. If you want to interact with the show and tell us your passion in sci-fi, all you got to do is call a number. We have a hotline. The hotline is 1-305-563-6334. And we have AI Overlord standing by.
So you can tell us what you thought of one of our episodes, or you can weigh in on a topic in sci-fi or science that you're interested in, and we might talk around that call. We'll play it on the next pod and talk around it in this segment. So you two could have a little, 15 seconds of fame on this podcast if you want.
Awesome. Okay, so are we ready?
We're always ready.
Shout outs.
And for these shout outs, I want to start by a special shout outs to Terra Alpha, our friend from the creator of audio drama set in the universe of Shadow Over Souls, originally created by Tap Creations. Go and check them out. If you love D&D and sci-fi, that's a place to go. Also, Angelus, a good friend and valued member of the Alita Army. The Alita Army. I had a great time watching him today play Cyberpunk 2077. As we spoke earlier, he's going through the same thing that I'm going through. And I appreciate the tips that he gave me, because I've been looking for tips on builds. And he was the only guy really that I could feel I could go to and get a good answer with good backing up reasons for each decision. Also, Truetankerjamescvercko, also known as TT, always keeping the party lit in the server. You're awesome, man. On our YouTube, I want to give a special welcome to new subscribers, Filiberto, Sosa, and Renee G. Welcome to the team, and we love that you are part of it now. We hope that you like what we're doing here, and give us your feedback. That's why we're all here. It's all a community effort. Also, last but not least, X and Twitter, I want to give a special shout out to Cinema Rico, which is an awesome podcast. You should go and check him out. Also, dear Nikky, we love you. Jacked Up Reviews Show podcast, which we've been there a couple of times with him. Actually, we have something cooking for them coming up, which I need to talk to you guys about, but it's pretty cool. You guys should go and check out Kamsoli over there. He's an awesome guy. And again, Terra Alpha Audio Drama, also in Twitter. They're on all platforms, so I would advise you to just look them up on Twitter, and you can find his website from there. Go in all your preferred platforms to check out his products. And that's all for today's shout-outs.
Nice. Okay, so I guess we could move on to another segment, but can you help me? There's a segment. There is
a segment. I have some affinity for the next segment.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The Alita Army
News.
Double D boys.
Oh my god, you guys are confusing. One's really deep, the other's really high. It's like the chipmunks meet the Demon Lord. Hey, there's a name for an anime. The chipmunks meet the Demon Lord.
There you go. It
needs to be longer. It needs to be longer.
It needs to be longer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, the Alita Army live stream's been going on for is it 5 years? 4 years or 5 years? I can't remember. We started at the end of 2019. So I think that's 5 years. It's been going for a while. We're up to episode 246. So it's been chugging along. But Radio Chaos this week was the year in review 2024 for Radio Chaos. I take it upon myself to go back through all the show notes and look at all the view accounts for the shows across the year and do lists of the top 10 most viewed shows and who's been guesting and how many times the crew were on and all that sort of stuff, so we can go through it. So yeah, we did that this week. It was interesting. We also went through the big news articles for the year. What's been happening, of course, the loss of John Landau, who passed away about mid-year. It was very sad. So we talked a bit about his passing and the effect it had. And yeah, it was an interesting show. It ran very long because there was a lot of discussion about the news articles through the year, and of course, Creaky and Dave Schmidt meeting Rosa Salazar in person, which was a big one. And of course, I happened to drag a certain Giancarlo and Robert onto the stream so that they were represented at least once this year.
We invaded the army.
Yes, they met up with the army and had a powwow. So it was interesting. So you can check that one out. It's episode 246 on the Elita Army channel on YouTube.
Nice. Okay. So I feel like we're really not ready for this one.
No.
Well, after all introductions, and I believe it's time to get dirty, baby.
Oh, jeez. There's a lot to unpack in this show.
Oh my God, yes. So I wonder, do we have a plot?
Yes, sir.
Dun, dun, dun.
We have a plot. I will give you the plot. Now, before I give you the plot, this show has a twist in the tale of epic proportions. I highly recommend you go and watch it first because it will spoil terribly if you listen to this plot before you watch the movie.
It will spoil and fish uncooked on your countertop.
Now, as of recording, this one's a little bit tricky to access without spending some shekels. So you can rent it on a lot of platforms for not too much money. And it was on Roku, the Roku channel in the US. If you're US
in the US, I watched it on Amazon Prime. But you know,
did you have to rent it?
No, without licensing, I don't know how that's gonna, how long that's gonna take. So, but I did watch it today on Amazon Prime.
All right. As part of the subscription too.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay, didn't know you could do that. Yeah, it was on Roku, but there was a problem with accessing it, so I had to go to alternative providers. But yeah, so the plot of Archive from 2020. Set decades in the future, Jules and George Almore have a car accident in which Jules dies. Her consciousness is stored in a device created by the company Archive, which allows George to have simulated conversations with her on the phone for up to 200 hours. At his job, George secretly begins developing a robot that will be able to hold her consciousness permanently. After learning from two initial attempts, J1 and J2, his final version, J3, is almost complete. J2, which has the brain of a 16-year-old, becomes jealous of George working on J3 and increasingly begins to behave unpredictably, like most teenage girls. Archive sends a team... I'm not wrong. Archive sends a team of George's work to George's workplace to inspect the machine with his wife's consciousness. They notice he's tampered with it and built robots, and they suspect he's stealing their intellectual property. Dun, 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 dun. George finishes the J3 robot. J2, confronted with the realization that she will never be anything more or better than she already is, destroys herself by walking into a lake. Yes, teenagers committing suicide. How novel. Archive recovers the robot and threatens to sue George's company for copyright infringement. When she learns that George has been building robots, his boss fires him. Yeah, shit gets real. He makes a final call to his wife on the Archive machine and ends the call saying, "See you soon." J3 overhears this and realizes that he intends to override her consciousness with that of his wife. Though initially angry and afraid, she accepts her fate. The upload is completed as security storms George's lab. At this point, any sign of the security team suddenly evaporates and all is calm. Anyway, the archive starts ringing with an incoming call for Jules. J3 implores him not to answer, but George does and speaks with Jules, also hearing a child's voice on the line, which is revealed to be that of his daughter. George was the one who died in the car accident. Dun, 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 dun. While Jules survived and is now raising their daughter in the real world, and the ordeal he went through was a simulation within his own archive, which has finally expired. Dun, 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 dun. with his archive expired, it has been prepared for burial at his official funeral. Jules and their daughters say their final goodbyes and leave. Roll credits. Now, that's actually a very succinct plot. There's a lot more to the movie, lots of build-up and hints and shit like that, which we will go through in great detail.
I
build up.
watched this thing, and I was like, oh my freaking God.
Oh my God.
And you know me, the overthinker that I am.
Mess with your head much?
Oh, heck yeah. So when we watched
You
this,
thought I was not gonna like the ending.
well, when we've had the watch party, but yes, we do have those. So I invite you guys to join our Discord. I was telling him, Gio, help me out. Like, let's see. When you get to the ending, is it me? Is it me or did it really mess with your head at the end? And what was your response, Gio?
I love it. I love it.
So it wasn't me.
No, I mean, I'm a weirdo, man. I think I kind of explained to you, and I came to this realization when on my trip to the Dominican Republic, because I was talking to my dad, and he doesn't like that kind of thing either. Like things that make you uncomfortable, and you cannot put your finger on it, but like there's something eerie about the movie. And I came to the realization that is social morbid scenes are things that are bound to make the viewer uncomfortable with an eerie feeling, and I love that because it makes me feel something uncontrollable in me. So that's what I like. So many weird things that most people hate when it comes to these kind of things. So to me, like, of course, the ending is like somebody pulls a rug under your feet and you hit your face in the floor. But it's like I was like, yes, oh my God.
I'm going to extend the same question to Ray. Ray, the question was, is it just me? Or is this like it? This is how what the movie does to you.
I really should have picked up on the hints. I feel that I dropped the ball on this one. I knew there was something dodgy going on, but I didn't. It didn't click in my head until the reveal. So normally I pick up on these things really early, but I guess I was just too distracted when I was watching this, which was like we're talking an hour ago. So
I will venture to say that means that as a writer, this you could say is very, very supreme writing.
It was well written, I'd have to say, yeah. Hey, but you haven't asked your first question, Robert. We're kind of answering it without you asking it.
Well,
yeah, the movie got it so confused that he actually asked the last questions first.
This is not the last question. This is a question that I wanted to ask prior to, because it's a question that I had on myself when I watched this. And the question again for the audience, if you want to jump in, hopefully by now you have watched the film. But the question that I'm asking is, me as an overthinker, I thought that the movie just pulled the rug from under me. And the question is, was it just me? Did you see the ending? Or is this the same experience that you had? And that's the question that I wanted to ask. And the question that I asked just now to Ray and to Gio. And you heard their answers. Now I want to hear your answer. So you
well, my actual reaction was, it makes sense now. Good. like you're like ooh, and Gio's like yes, and I'm like ah. It's like 3 different reactions because I'm thinking about it from a writer's perspective, which is that was good writing.
So yeah, don't forget, you can reach out to our socials. You can reach out to us on Discord and let us know what was your impression. Like, was it did this movie pull the rug from under you as well? So okay, so now we're gonna move on to the first question that we asked.
Yes, which camp were you in? Were you in U camp? Were you in R camp? Or were you in yes camp?
So the question that we normally ask in this show, if you're new, is how old were you when you watched this film for the first time, and what was your very first impression of the film? I don't know if I should, since I recommended this film, I feel like it is only fair. I let you guys go first.
Well, I was today years old, so
You go
just
first.
watched it. I'm
Baby
really surprised
watcher.
I missed this one. I didn't hear anything about it until you guys recommended it to me. So I was completely unaware of this particular gem until I was told, "Go watch it. We're recording it tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh crap!" So
I think that the reason for that is that the year it came out was a year that people were not really going crazy on the movies.
yeah.
So unless the advertising of the movie before releasing was big Hollywood style, which I don't think it was, it would have been it made it difficult to reach. So I think that this is going to become a sleeper because of that reason. But I think that's the reason in that nor you or I know about this movie really.
Yeah. So yeah, my initial reaction was, wow, lots of monochrome. Now it makes sense. So yeah, you'll notice that the environment is supposedly in a prefecture in Japan where it's snowing a lot, and the guys hold up in a sort of a research outpost.
Top of the line
which
research facility.
No, it wasn't. apparently had been mothballed for ages. So, and the year's 2038. So, what we consider mothballed is still somewhat more futuristic than what we have at the moment. So, white snow, grey ground, so many more notices on the walls and doors and everything than you would think would be necessary, which sort of jumped out at me. And it was all monochrome. Why was it all monochrome? Well, apparently people dream mostly in black and white unless you're doing drugs, in which case you might dream in color. I remember dreaming in vivid color when I had a fever one time. So that occurred to me. But yeah, mostly monochrome. So there was hint number one. That it was a dream. And of course, it very well crafted in all the little hints and stuff that it was giving you, and how logic started to break down, and he was pushing to achieve his goal, but everything seemed to be pushing back against him. It was very much one of those, you're trying to achieve something in your dream and it just isn't working out for you kind of things, but you won't give up and you keep trying. So, like, I've had so many dreams like that. Like, not just the look down and you haven't got pants on dreams, but just so many dreams where I'm trying to achieve something and I just can't manage it. I call them frustration dreams, and there's a lot of that. And I think that's your mind trying to work through the frustrations of your day, trying to come up with solutions and things like that. But yeah, now looking back on it after understanding the paradigm shift at the end of the movie, so much of it makes a whole bunch of sense, and it's one of those moments for me where now it all makes sense, and I really appreciate it.
Nice.
It got him good.
Oh yeah, you did. That's twice, Gio. I'm gonna have to get you back.
Well, me to that question, the movie talks about a lot of things that I do love. there were a couple of parts that really got me like, wait a minute, like when he meets with that droid kind of looking guy on the bar,
Cyberpunk.
and then somebody like the administrator of the company calls him, and he looks exactly like the guy but without implants. And I was like, wait a minute. But I didn't cut onto it until the very end. So like, they did a great job on concealing the actual plot all through along. And of course, parts that would actually touch a person's heart, like Zero Two having melts down and committing robot suicide.
Well, we've had quantum suicide, and now we've had digital suicide. So,
Well, it was just a pretend because she would just shut down. Well, at the end she achieved it. She went for a swim. but to
didn't even
me, like
bother with the
that
bathing
cracked me
suit. Went
up.
in raw.
No, not
Well,
even. Babe.
I kind of question this altogether because towards the end of the movie, you hear how the boss says that they retrieved it. So if they retrieved it, all they have to do is just turn it back on.
Well, drain the water out and dry it out first.
Exactly. So
Well, not only that, but the point that I brought to Robert is when they get turned on and become active, they go online. So if they go online, that means to me, at least for my not so techie mind, that there must be some kind of backup version of that person or robot somewhere that is not physical that could be brought back in or
yeah,
replicated.
I
You
I
know?
feel, I feel the same way. There has to be some sort of like I don't know. To me, for something to act, I mean, I guess let's speak for example from perspective from like Tesla cars, right? They are connected to the internet to the hive mind, and they all learn from each other's experiences. And because of that, I feel the J1 and J2 in this film, including J3, are in the same way. There has to be some sort of um, computer within the facility where they are connected to, where they're all, not necessarily connected together like the Borg, but the activities, the interactions, sensors, all this stuff, and their experiences get collected for an, for
Yeah. I,
analysis.
I do think that the writers of the movie did a good job at concealing all these little details anyways on a way that it is completely left to the viewer's discretion to make out of what they want out of it. So all these technicalities we're discussing right now, they're not really pinpointed on the movie at any given time, which I think it was a good call, anyways, on the writing aspect, because when you look at it, it gives the viewer more creative freedom to assert or interpret it as they would like. And it's one of those scenarios where there's no wrong answers, really. Whatever makes the most sense is the best answer you can come up with, really.
I want my legs back. I want them back.
Make her some new ones.
Well, to
I want my legs back.
before we move on, I just want to, I guess, give you my answer to the question. And again, for you out there listening or watching on YouTube, the question is, how old were you and what was your very first impression of the film? Um, if you have watched our show long enough, you have probably seen me talk in previous episodes back when I was on vacation. I had a really nice time, and basically what I did is I did some research on sci-fi films that I have not watched, and we already covered some of those on this show. And just wanted to let you know this is one of those films that I watched during my time watching sci-fi films. There's a couple more that I am planning to maybe we could do an episode on, but just wanted to let you know this is one of those films that I watched back to back sci-fi films during my vacation time. Um, so it was this year that I watched this film, and I was in shocked. This film managed to grab me emotionally. It did not, just for all of you out there who know me, it did not raise my heart rate, so it's a good thing. But it grabbed me emotionally, and it was just such a good story that it grabbed me. It grabbed my attention, but I was really shocked, and that's the reason why I asked this question at the beginning of the this episode. It shocked me because I did not see the ending coming at all, and it was shocking to me. Granted, there has been some films out there that I watched in the past that I understand why the film I did not see the ending coming. But this one in particular seems like they gave you the hints throughout the entire thing. And even at that, I could not guess the ending at all. So when the ending came, I was in disbelief. I was in shock because this movie did this. They gave you everything and you still couldn't figure it out. And that's the reason why I wanted to ask the question, if it was just me or did it happen to you as well? So that is basically my first impression. This film was amazing. And if you, hopefully you watched it by now, and I want to know, I want to know. And of course, if you're one of those, which we do have, some of those listeners who actually listen to our show first and then they watch that thing later, please
I
do.
warned them. I warned
Please,
them.
please do. Well, to be honest with you, they're kind of like Geo, and I had some conversation with some of the listeners where they actually wait to hear our thoughts to decide if the film is good or not before they watch it. Which I guess you're a little bit more like Geo that doesn't care about the spoilers. That I guess
And
that's
that means that with great podcasts come great responsibility.
well,
Thank you, Spider-Man.
we do have a rule. We do have a rule that we set back in season 1 that although you hear us say, "Oh, we love this film," "Oh, and you can almost hear this in every episode. We love this film, right? But you don't see the behind the scenes. There's a lot of films that we watch that are, I want to say, crap,
Or they don't
but
make a cut. You can say.
we have this rule that we refuse to cover any film that any of us feel completely negative about. So, like for
Oh,
example,
I'm quite happy for you to cover Cyberpunk 2049.
yeah. So that's
Sorry, Blade Runner 2049. I'm getting all my things mixed up, man.
Great movie.
once we cover that film, you'll notice that Ray will not be in. So that's
That's right.
it's a rule that we have.
You
And
don't want to hear my opinion.
yeah, you come here to hear, about, you don't want to hear someone bashing on something. And I personally, I don't like that either. So that's why we
I love it, but that's all right. Take one for the team.
Well, we've already had that discussion here.
yeah. Yeah.
You know my opinion.
I'm toxic. You know me.
So
You're like coffee. You're toxic, but you're good.
With no sugar on it. Sour, just like me.
not even milk.
Bitter.
Sometimes.
It's bitter, not sour.
Okay, so that is the answer to my question. Now, I have so many questions, and there's so much to unpack in here. And let's start with something simple. At the beginning, we see that George has the box. I call it the box, the black box, in the middle of his what appears to be a living room, and this is the box that has the phone that you can either pick up, which it explained in the film that towards the later part of the box, live would only be audio communication. But for the most part, for the great majority of the existence of this box, it's video audio communication. Um, this box is where the wife calls George. Now, it was my impression, and I'm going to ask this question to you guys out there. I don't think there's much information unless you guys saw something that I didn't. But it was my impression that the box contains the body, and that's the reason why they have to prepare it for burial. So it basically is a um and I forgot the name of those boxes. Oh my god.
Cryogenic,
No, when you bury people.
a
Coffin.
coffin.
Coffin, there you go. Thank you. So it's basically a high-tech coffin that connects the brain under that person inside to this machine, where then you have that technology talk to the deceased um after their death, until you can basically in an attempt to settle your affairs.
So so it's a zombification unit.
Kind of, and that's the impression that I got, but again, I did not see information that changed my mind, and that's just my perception of what's going on now. What is your thought of what is that box? And if so, did you get more information that I did that made or help you make a decision on what that is?
Well, it was very interesting how they described it, that it was analog, not digital, and that it had a lot of glass and vacuum tubes and all sorts of esoteric shit in there as well. So interesting. I think there's a bit of hand waving involved at some points.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To me,
and, reciting things in Latin. calling on Cthulhu, maybe.
Holy shit. I wondered that he had an ominous appearance to it, but you know me, I kind of dumbify things, and to me, it's just an incomplete version of what we envision for a successful cryogenic or stasis kind of device.
So you feel there was a body inside?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I don't find another reason why there will be such a huge cybernetic component to it than to hold the whole body into it. Because
and the final scene when they're taking it out of her apartment, because it's his archive, not hers, and it is quite large. You see the size of it, and they physically removing it and burying it. I think you're right. I think he was in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, there is supposed to be some time after your biological death that your brain still survives. And I think that they were just trying to prolong that with this technology. I will venture to say, I don't think that they're in any kind of given way keeping the body alive, but the brain inside the body. Yeah. I will venture to say, and it's funny that you mentioned the vacuum and the glasses, because if you think about it, that could help prevent the deterioration of our biological bodies by creating that kind of oh my god, what do you call it? That kind of conditions for the human body.
Well, I feel if it is vacuum tubes, like Ray said, is actually the opposite. I think it would fried the biological components, because unless I'm mistaken, aren't vacuum tubes hot in nature?
Well, vacuum tubes can get warm. They're just basically early switch units. Like they're still used today in certain brands of amplifiers because they give a warmer sound. They're not so on and off. They're more analog than digital, and I think that was the whole point of using analog components to connect to an analog brain, because human brains aren't digital.
Yeah.
But what I interpret for vacuum tube is that they are not actual vacuum tubes on the machine, but actually trying to emulate some kind of vacuum vacuum condition inside where the body is encased.
Oh, okay.
By minimizing oxygen, all the components that bacteria needs to thrive for the duration of the body. It's like it's like being able to regulate the emptiness or the void of outer space in a cast.
I think
so the body doesn't deteriorate so fast.
I think I have to agree with you because of
but
the
it's
amount
regulated,
the amount of time that body is in there, you need something like that. Otherwise, it would have been, yes, it would have been horrible. So yeah, I think that would have to happen in order for you to have that box for as long as you can have. So I think yeah, and those, by the way, for all of you other who are watching our YouTube channel, we're showing what vacuum tubes actually look like.
Yeah, they're examples of vacuum tubes. And basically, within them is a vacuum. That's why they're called vacuum tubes. But they're basic switches, which can be set to on or off. And that's the basis of all computing, which is 0, 1, on or off. And then, of course, this was miniaturized down onto silicon chips, and hundreds of thousands and millions of switches rather than individual switches like this.
I would love to see a computer with vacuum tubes instead of a chip. How many miles do you think you need of vacuum tubes?
Well, I mean, you can watch Three Body Problem and see computing on a human scale, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Thanks for reminding me that. One more thing that I have to watch in my infinite, non-ever-ending list.
You will say to us, thank you.
Courtesy of Robert and Ray.
And if you read the book, oh my God, I read that book. I really enjoyed it. I got to pick up the other 2 because apparently there's 3 books. I just read the first one.
So this is actually an image of an early computer using vacuum tubes. And of course, your basic throwaway pocket calculator is more powerful than this thing. So this is a very early on.
Yeah.
But miniaturization is an amazing thing. So, and of course, when you talk about miniaturization, you've got from vacuum tubes to silicon chips. And of course, we're pushing the boundaries of what silicon chips can do now as far as miniaturization is concerned. So, of course, we go one better and go to quantum computing, and that miniaturization is freaking phenomenal. Getting to the quantum level of switching and basically doing what would take a silicon chip computer hundreds of thousands of years in moments, because it can do all of the switching in parallel, which is massively parallel computing, which is where we're headed with quantum computing. And it will basically make all encryption obsolete, because you'll be able to break it in a snap if you have a quantum computer.
You imagine you sent that, okay, go ahead and figure out this password. It'll do all the combinations of letters and numbers all simultaneously until it finds the right one in seconds. So yeah, that's scary.
Although hopefully it will lock your account at the 3rd try.
No, this will do it in 1 try.
Damn it.
That's it. Just 1 try.
That's what I always said, that quantum computing is going to revolutionize cybersecurity too. It's inevitable, I think, in my opinion. And also, just to pick up on what Ray said, miniaturization is not great in everything. I don't want my junk to be miniaturized.
Miniaturization is good in a lot of things, but not in all things.
Not in Domain.
You remember the tiny pizzas that they put in the hydro? What do they call it? The hydro thing.
Floppy disk. Floppy disk.
No, the little tiny pizzas, and they put it in the hydrator.
There you go.
And it came out as a massive pizza in Back to the Future Part 2.
Cherry 2000.
No, Back to the Future Part 2.
Back to the Future Part 2. Yes. Oh my God.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
But I mean, it's been predicted since the 1980s that quantum computing would basically make all passwords and all encryption obsolete. And if you wanted to keep something safe, you had to keep it off the internet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Physical separation from
I think
computing
that physical keys are gonna become then a thing again, because they haven't really gained big traction on the worldwide industries, but there are people that use them. And I mean, think about it. Like the last big creation of cybersecurity that we have come with is blockchain, which is very interesting concept. And to think that blockchain, which seems outrageously impossible to override, is going to be easily stepped over with quantum computing. I'm just surprised that in my mind, I thought that quantum computing was going to come and take the industry of Silicon Valley by storm. And instead of classical computer, you were going to have a quantum computer, but it's happening at a slow pace where it's converging. So we're starting to have quantum computing parts in classical computers instead of just getting a brand new quantum computer as a commercial way of using technology.
Well, right now, I think is the technology has its hurdles. Like one of the main ones that I can see immediately is the temperature that the chip has to be at.
Yeah.
It takes in a tremendous amount of power for now, so that would make it prohibitively impossible for the person to have an actual chip on their home, because the amount of
It's
power
like
that
having Venus in your house.
the amount of power you need to keep it cool, it's like close to 0 Kelvin.
Jesus Christ.
That yes, that so
Jesus
right now
Christ.
once we pass
Minus 300 Fahrenheit.
so once we pass that hurdle, I think we're gonna start seeing like home use. Now, that's not saying we can't see a product they customers can use soon, because we have something called, and I don't know if you're familiar with, but you can buy compute power right now. Microsoft and Amazon has those products, and most of the companies, major corporations out there, they use this. So you can buy processing power, and you can have a remote computer. So I think this is what we're going to see first, is a remote access to a quantum computer. So you can have a regular computer and subscribe to those services, and you can actually remote into and have your quantum computer. I think that's what's going to happen first.
That's either platform as a service or infrastructure as a service.
Correct. So going back to the film, and the reason why I was asking this question, and the question was, do you feel that the actual body was inside that box?
I think it might be.
I'm sorry?
I think it might be. Otherwise, why would they bury the whole thing?
Yeah. So I guess the other question that I have that was leading from that question is, would you pay for that service?
Would you want your loved one's corpse
The
there in a box in the room with your, in your family home, and you talk to the dead person for 200 hours before burying them?
Oh, I've seen some weird shit. I've seen people taxiderming their beloved ones and making a coffee table. But no, I would not.
The reason why I was asking that is because there was an intense conversation within the film. Yes. Where George was telling her that he was considering purchasing that, and she seemed jokingly on when they were out walking. However, I guess at night, when she had enough time to mull over the question, they almost had a fight where she says, "I don't want it. I don't want to think about it. I just don't want it." So I guess we heard from Gio.
Yeah.
And again, the question is, you or your loved one? That is the question.
If I could have done what he did, probably I might think about it. Otherwise, no.
I guess that's my one big question about this movie, and that obviously to make it interesting for the viewer and not like just a sales promotion for a company that's starting up the archive service. She didn't tell him that he was dead until the very end, for the last call. Now, if you set this up before you died, you would be prepared to be told, well, you're actually dead. Yes. Let's sort out what you want to do with, your will. We have a child that's coming along now, so do you want to set up trust funds? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? She didn't talk about any of that with him.
Search that you have incomplete if you want somebody to take over it or you wanted to continue.
Now, that's interesting. Was the company using him to get him to finish his research in there? Was it a simulation? Because we know that her archive unit in his dream had been tampered with. We presume it was by either him or J2, but it could have been a reflection of his unit having been tampered with by the company.
Well, I have two answers to that I think might be viable. One of the questions you ask, who tampered? I believe it was George in the dream. And please correct me if you have more information, or because this is just how I saw it based on the information that's on the film. He was able to grab or copy part of the supposedly wife brain, and the portion was the creation of J1. And then he was able to grab more information from this unit, because we could see it kind of like in the monitors where he was like looking at like what's a good match and not a good match. And he was able to create J2. But then at the end, he was able to grab all of the information from the box and create a J3. And this is how I kind of see it. However, I might be wrong. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. The other answer to answer the other question that you had, I think, and again, I could be wrong again, that she wasn't prepared for this. And it's obvious from the conversation they had when she want nothing to do with this company, and she did not want it. She was against buying this machine from the get-go. So all of a sudden, he dies. He gets in the box because it's already purchased, because apparently he did not return it like she said she would. She was not prepared. And I think that psychologically messed her up enough that she did not have the the mental preparedness
Fortitude.
to tell him,
Fortitude.
to let him know that he was dead. And I kind of grasp this from the beginning conversation when she says, I can't do this anymore.
Not only that, Robert, but don't you remember he was having trouble talking to her?
Well, but I understand that because
And thinking that he's the one on the box after knowing the fact, he should be the one with least trouble, but it's because she doesn't want to come and talk to him.
no, here's and I'm going to tell this, and let me know what you guys feel about this. This is my theory. He thinks that she's the one dead, so she should be able to respond at any time. However,
Yes.
since he's the one dead, she's having her life. She's going to work. He's taking the daughter out.
She's raising the baby, yeah.
She's raising the baby. So when he calls and she's not answering, she might be out taking the kid to school. She might be out to work. So I think that's what's going on. But again, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I feel like the lack of ability to communicate, it's simplified over a long span of time, because he did a lot of progress on his project. Like J3 was not even a scrap when he started having problems with this by the beginning of the movie. And he doesn't talk to her practically once until J3 is completely finalized, if you think about it. So he was able to make a whole new version of her during the span of time that he did not have the chance to talk to her. He talks to her at the beginning of the movie, and then he doesn't talk to her ever until the very, very end, if you think about it. There is not a conversation. There's no like glitch or anything. No, he couldn't talk to her.
I think time.
That could be different. Yeah. I also think that him tampering with the machine, it's a representation that they're trying to keep him unaware of the fact that he's the one in there. And him tampering with the machine could expose his dream. And God knows if he would have gone through the same psychotic mental breakdown that J3 went to when she was plugged in, which I had a good explanation for that too, but we'll get into that details later.
I feel like I have to agree with Ray. I mean, especially he is the one that bought this thing.
Yeah.
So he would have to know. I mean, there has to be some like template of what to do. You have to sign for this. You'll be aware that this is going to happen, and when this happens, I mean, this is a company, for crying out loud.
Inception, Robert. They explain this on Inception. You never remember where the dream starts, and it doesn't matter how much you want to go back to it. You will not be able to notice when your dreams start. Where you get, it's like your mind is in that autopilot with your subconscious that you're not able to trace back and say like, oh no, This is how it goes. So somehow it fools you to connect back to past events that were real when you are in this kind of dream state. If you think about it, I think that in Inception they explained that perfectly when he is with the son of the main guy, the corporation guy, and he's telling him you're in a dream, and he told, "Do you remember how we got here?" And he's not able to. He's like,
Do
you know,
you want me to throw a brick in the pond?
oh please, no, on the glass, on the glass.
In the glass, on the glass.
So
when
when she says in the first call in the movie, "I can't do this anymore," and hangs up, is it because she's not mentally prepared, or is it because she's being paid a large sum of money by the corporation to keep him unaware because they're running a simulation to get him to finish his research?
Yeah.
Because I would think that if he was constructing this mentally about a place he'd never been to, that there'd be a whole lot more gaps in his knowledge of the place.
True.
And the fact that they're always keeping him on his toes with the whole, you got to fix the security systems, you got to do this, you got to do that, we're calling you up and pressuring you about your research and rah, rah, rah. That seems a little too directed, a little too on point for a dream. I think that they were running a simulation in that box to get him to finish his research. That was my feel.
They literally were making pay the guy for a service. They were actually making a lot of money out of him anyways.
Yeah, I'd say that they were using him. They were using his mind as it was dying to finish his research for them. That's the sort of Arasaka level bastardry that was going on.
I agree.
I hope she gets paid.
Not only that, but recall when she gives her last goodbye and she walks off, she doesn't look sad or any otherwise. Please, she looks bothered and annoyed. She walks off on a body language that you say she's pissed.
Yeah,
like she wants to tear this place apart. Literally, that's how she walks.
She's pissed that she did that to him, but she needed the money for her kid.
Yeah.
And a mother bear will always look after the kid first.
Of course. No, we're not even blaming her, but like you can read, like she did an exceptional acting for you to know that when she walked off at the end, she was completely pissed. She was enraged by the outcome of this. She was not happy with it. Yeah. So it does make sense that she couldn't do this anymore, and that he cannot talk to her. If you think about it,
which reinforces my idea that. Because they're going on about it's been tampered with and rah rah rah, and they're calling for patent infringements and this and that and the other, and there's legal stuff going down. I think that was all echoes of what the company was going through because they were actually misusing the archive to get him to finish his research.
You would think that the other company that he was working for would be on open arms after his death, knowing that his body and his knowledge is inside this other company's box.
And he could live on.
So I think you're right there. I think this was a reflection of the legal turmoil that was happening outside the box with the two.
But not only that, this is a double gotcha moment, because if you think about it, that means that the company of the box got the company that he was working for. Because they got all the intel that they had when they got him.
Yeah.
About it. So and I mean, it's insane when you put it onto perspective like that. It's like, holy crap!
It's Inception levels of fuckery.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, I think that if they're able to actually recreate real technology for him to work out the solution for the problem of having an external body that can be synthetic and biologic, then yeah, like Ray said, they could replicate that on the real world. And the problem with that is it shows the evil and dark nature of humans, that even if you have potential for greater things, I'm gonna kill the chicken with the golden eggs, and I just want that golden egg. I don't care that he can give me more golden eggs. You know?
What you guys are saying makes a lot of sense based on a comment that this. When the company came in with all those robots and they discovered that he tampered with the box. Remember
Yeah.
what he said? There was a technology that they're working on, but it's not available to the public yet.
Yep.
Hmm.
Freaking Sinclair.
Just makes you wonder. For all, for all we know, they figure out a way to keep the brain alive a lot longer, and create a body like J3. They house the brain
Like
of
Major
the dead
Maggie.
person because of the research of George.
Yep. And again, it brings me back to that assertion. Like, how fucked up is that they have a golden egg chicken, but they rather just get that golden egg and kill the chicken.
So you're thinking that that car crash was not
I'm
an
sure.
accident?
Ooh.
I'm sure that was the solution for the company to get intel.
I wasn't thinking about that, but that makes a lot of sense.
That was the solution.
But it would.
I don't even know if she was in the car crash.
She was.
We don't even know that. But how she's so unscathed and she was able to go through the pregnancy, I think that something like that could have been almost certain death for the baby in the womb. And somehow it was not.
Well, let me say
It
this.
leaves everything up into question.
Based on what we see, the memories from him, she was there. And
that could be a ghost in the shell.
Yeah. I mean, he is inside a box that is being connected to this device. So it makes
And it's analog information. It is malleable if you think about it.
Can we talk about the car for a minute?
Oh yeah, we're going to, but let's just put it into perspective. They're able to recreate this whole Inception scenario for him to be in it's like a bird cage for him. If they can create all of that for him and keep him there entertained, what tells you they cannot put false memories that could completely fool his reality, which they're doing in many ways. So putting false memories is for sure completely doable if you think about the possibilities.
Wow.
Yes or no?
I don't know that there wasn't many hints to the idea of false memories, but about the car. So it's the Lotus Esprit Turbo, which if you remember James Bond, The Spy Who Loved Me, he had one of those back in the 70s.
He loved you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. The Lotus Esprit Turbo was a 70s sports car. So obviously in 2038, when the movie is set, it's become a classic, and there wouldn't be that many of them around. The car was probably destroyed in the accident, and yet it's there while he's doing his research in what we discover as a simulation, and it's fine. That was a hint. That was a hint that it wasn't real.
I wasn't really thinking about that, but it makes a lot of sense. It's
it was another hint.
I mean, apparently there's a hint there too that I really didn't catch.
So you wouldn't get the same car if you crash on it?
Well, how would you get the same car?
You have an emotional attachment to
very
it
hard,
because
it's very hard to get them.
Very hard to get it in 2038. It's a 70s car, and 22. You imagine 1970s. You're in 2038 trying to get a 1970 car.
Yeah, but you're doing a world-changing technology research on a very secretive place. So I don't think that he's a broke guy. I think that that's not the case.
I don't know.
I think that he makes part of an elite when it comes to income-wise and the importance of work to this world and reality. So financial blockages, I don't think that are existent to him.
May I give you a bit of real-world information? Getting a Lotus Esprit Turbo today is considered quite difficult due to its limited production numbers, classic car status, and high demand amongst collectors, meaning you'll likely need to actively search through specialized markets and be prepared to pay a premium price to find one in good condition. So they are hard to get now. Add another 20 years.
Yeah.
You think that it's so hard to actually just make a replica of it?
I don't know. Because I
It's
mean,
not another question.
well, I haven't seen very successful replicas of cars lately.
Not yet. For example, the two-seater Cobra. This car, like when I used to live in North Carolina, I would see one every other weekend, and when I would check, they were not originals. They were replicas that people would assemble in their garage that look exactly like the real one. So
Yeah, but this is a
that way
Lotus.
you can get a car kit and make your own car.
This is a Lotus. I think there's a big, huge difference. But it's just my opinion.
I'm just saying that they're difficult to get now. They could be even more difficult to get later. And he managed to get one looking exactly the same as the one he used to drive.
That is a question. I mean, let's assume for a minute that he's able to build another one, Gio. Will he be able to make another one exactly like the one that he crashed on?
You want me to throw that brick back at Ray and you? When they are about to crash, they're talking about why he doesn't want the automatic pilot. It is not an original car. It's modded. Because if he has automatic pilot, I don't think that in the 70s that existed.
No.
Well, it was clearly modded because the engine sound was completely.
He didn't make it neither. So that poses the question that this car came back to the market with modifications or something. Because I don't think that he got a one-of-a-kind car that nobody else ever has. So it's like that kind of cyberpunk theme where cars that were old become a new thing again, and they got these changes. I think that that's the case there. So
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that somehow the car was back to normal, like nothing had ever happened to it, which was suspect.
I think it was a hint. I think it was a hint for the film.
Yeah.
I think that was a hint to let you know that something was sus about the film.
I disqualify that the car was that unique because he had automatic pilot, and they actually discuss about it. So to me, it's not a 1970s car. That to me was very, very clear and evident.
But the question is, was it a hover
with the rarity? Eh?
No, we understand what you're saying, and we
have a full hover conversion, like a DeLorean we happen to know about.
Exactly. I know. I agree. I agree with you, Gio, 100%. It was not the same car, and I don't think in that reality in 2038 you could have a normal car. It probably have to be converted to electric. It probably have to include the automatic, driving, the full self-drive. So yeah, it is not the model that was sold in 77. It was a modded version. Now, regardless of the
it doesn't necessarily have to be electric. I think it might have been hydrogen cell.
Yeah.
Because it didn't sound electric.
Regardless of all this thing, I think what we're missing, where we're missing the point is, I feel, and again, only the writer or director of this could answer this question. I feel that this was placed as another hint. Because and I wouldn't be surprised because we have so many freaking hints in this film as to what was going on at the end of the film. And I think this is one of those hints, especially when you say, okay, all of a sudden the car is there and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, typically when you have a crash in a car, especially that type of crash is totaled and you buy another one.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like in my mind, that was another car, same brand, but it was another car, and I registered because of the reasons I gave you that this car was not such a rare thing in this time, that it was something standard. It was like a Toyota Corolla now. So in my head, I never thought, oh, that's the same car and it's still good. In my head, I was like, oh, he got another one just like that, and I connected to it. There's an emotional attachment to the car because he used to have that car with his partner, with his wife. So I totally got that from all of that, really.
Now, to move us on to another question that I had, and this is something that I discussed with Gio on our watch party. Again, if you want to be part of those conversations, join our Discord. We occasionally have watch parties for the thing that we are covering. If you watch this film, you realize that many times, not just once, one or two, many times throughout the film, you see kind of like a flyby of electrical
A
equipment,
drone.
like circuitry, and you're
Oh
like,
yes.
how?
Heat like what are they called? Heat sinks, things like that.
Yeah.
Infrared vision.
So the one that I'm talking specifically is kind of like the flyby. It reminds me of the flyby on Star Wars when he's gonna bomb the Death Star. Of course, not so dramatic, but it's just kind of like a flyby of circuitry, and it happens
Yes.
multiple times throughout the film, multiple times. And you're like, I remember watching this, and I'm like, what? What is this? Has to do? What is this? I mean, I recognize electronic equipment, maybe.
The
Why?
screensaver.
What, what does that have to do with the film? What does it have to do with the storytelling? It didn't make any sense to me. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, let me tell you something about all the hints, so you get why we didn't get it. They were so subtle that you cannot fathom that you could guess the actual plot just by them. It's like me giving you all the hints, but they're so subtle that you will not know until you get there and you know it.
I think random too.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like it makes sense once you know the fact. It's like we Latinos have a saying: you don't know the heart of a squash or a pumpkin until you put the knife and you cut it open. You will not know how it looks like. And it's the same thing with this outcome on the movie. Even if they threw at you tips and hints all over about the plot, there is no human way that you can guess it. You will need to know the plot in order to actually figure it out. It's like giving you a puzzle, but the colors are so messed up. It's in black and white. So until you put it together, you don't know what it looks like. Even though you're looking at all the puzzle pieces, you will not know what's on the actual art of the puzzle until it's complete.
Yeah.
What I feel with all the hints, because I don't speak Japanese or read Japanese. So even though it says dream all over in Japanese,
Well, in Chinese.
Chinese, sorry, I cannot tell you that it will give me a tip. I mean, maybe a person that is native to that speaks Cantonese or Chinese, they might be able to, but not me. Of course, it's gonna go over my head. You know,
I honestly have to rewatch to see if I can catch it because all I remember was the Japanese writing. But
that's what I thought I watched too.
apparently on doors, there's a Chinese character among all those Japanese characters that says dreams.
Well, kanji originated in China and moved to Japan, so they're very similar writing styles.
Yeah, but I heard in a trivia that I mean this place is filled with Japanese characters, and they even speak
They were
Japanese.
supposed to be in Japan.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they were in Japan. Yeah,
But all the doors have a single Chinese character on them. The translation is dreams.
Are you listening? Like that is the peak of being tricky with throwing hints. It's like I'm putting similar writings, and my public most of the time is not gonna be native to none of them. You know,
Imagine a Japanese person will read all the characters and then get to the doors like, okay, that looks like
what is
kanji.
that?
That looks like kanji, but that's not kanji.
Exactly. They're gonna be like, what is that?
So, well, I
That's my
think
point. That's my point with all the hints. Like, I don't feel like, oh, they gave me all the hints. No, they didn't. They actually threw a bunch of shit that I would never figure out in there to make me feel more hard the aha moment at the end.
yeah.
they were just feeling supremely not so much overconfident, but they're better than us. Oh, we threw stuff in there. Didn't you get it? Can't you read
right.
Chinese writing? What's your problem?
I think this is another thing that I read on the trivia. This was the biggest hint that they could give you, but if you're not a music fanatic, you probably never get it. I am not, So I did not get it. But
Me neither.
in the opening scene, the song St. James Infirmary can be heard in the background. Okay. How s- how subtle can you get? Like, this is not even a song that is played over everything. It's like a background music that you can barely hear, right?
Yep.
And if you're not familiar with the song, which I was not, it is a song about a man seeing his wife or girlfriend stretch out on a table in the morgue.
Jesus Christ.
That is, if you are if a music fan, you got another hint on this film. On what
But that supports his idea that she's died.
exactly?
But
So
that's wrong.
exactly.
So it's actually a red herring.
Yes.
Purposely misleading, you know?
You know?
That's how I feel about most of these hints, is that they're purposely misleading. So the nature of the hints are not to hint you, are to drive you away from that conclusion, the reality.
Well, I think where the film did this well is in the fact that it was hinting at both scenarios simultaneously.
Mm.
So obviously, you have no clue about the scenario that gives you about the ending of the film. But whenever you hear scenarios that confirm what your current opinion of what's going on, then you automatically mentally as humans we grab that as validation. That's why most of the how you call it fake news are so effective because it when people believe it and hear it, those are kind of things that the person that believes on those it's kind of like a confirmation of what they already believe. So I
Mhm.
think this film took advantage of that. And you already know in the film towards the beginning, the wife is dead, he's grieving, he's. So when they give you the hints, you ignore the hints of the fact that he is dead. You have no clue what's going on. But whenever you confirm, oh, this is a hint that the wife is dead, you automatically grab it because a confirmation bias.
Yes.
And I think that was clever, not only on the writing, but in the way that the film was presented.
Yeah, this is directed to Gavin Rothery, the director and writer. You abuse of us giving the benefit of the doubt to everything and taking things by the word. You did abuse that right in this movie through and through.
Oh, dear. Hey, can we talk about callbacks in the movie or callouts
Oh yes.
to other properties? Black Mesa
Oh,
to uh crap, what's it called? Half-Life.
Wait. I'm looking uh for our main character for this movie, so you can see him. Wait
Yeah, and the main character definitely.
Black.
Have you got a side by side?
here. Oh no, I don't have a side by side, but you don't need that. He looks like him. He looks like. There's no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Just put
totally.
just put the scar on his face, and that's him with glasses and everything. That's him, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Gordon Freeman. For all of you out there who are listening, just give it about a month for this episode to release on YouTube. And please subscribe.
Yep, that it's our guy
Yeah.
in the movie.
So, George, that's it, George. It's in Half-Life. George is Gordon. They both start with a G. There you go.
Hey, he might be purposely too. Oh man, what a movie! What a trip! Now we were talking about something interesting, Robert, and I wanted to know Ray's feedback on it. Remember what happened to J3 when she got uploaded the first time? She got a psychotic break.
Oh, we talked about that so many times, and we see
You
a
want to
perfect
ask
example of
his
that
the question?
in RoboCop. When we see J3 turned on for the first time, that is a perfect example of what would happen to a human, which that leads me to believe, to a side note on that, George was not a nice guy. Because again, and I'm going to pose this question to you guys out there, because the way that I feel might be completely different.
Ray
But I
has
would
been
not.
taken aback by that comment.
Morgan Freeman, you decide.
Yeah, Gordon Freeman. There you go. That's Half-Life, man. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Um, the way that I would have done it, I would have not turned on J3 until she's fully built and skinned with hair and all. But that's just me. I'm happy, I'm happy, Admiral Happy Ending here. That's just me. How he turned her on, that is not right. Um, notice how she screamed, and we talked about this in previous episodes, especially on the one for RoboCop, when you have someone that has died, and all of a sudden you insert them into a robot. And Ray, you talked about this before, how they brain all of a sudden is or whatever supposed brain, right? The consciousness is trying to grab on things that were normal before, like the operation of the heart, and stuff like that. Lungs, not finding any of those connections. It feels like something is wrong, and the person has a nervous breakdown, and
Your
most of
brain
the
is going haywire,
exactly.
mechanically speaking.
Well, if you go to season 3 of Sword Art Online, when the AIs find out they're not human, they have psychotic breaks as well.
Yes.
Except for Alice. Alice was special.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, psychologically speaking, you are putting in question the whole perception of reality of an entity completely.
See, if somebody showed up and told me that this wasn't reality, that I was an AI construct, I'd go, "Oh, now it all makes sense." Thank God.
Yeah, I probably go like, I knew it. But we're not normal again, you know.
Well, but then again, it plays into what we talked about. We were born and grew up in this environment, so it wouldn't be an issue.
It is the water we swim in.
It's exactly.
I will still love my AI goldfish.
The issue is when you grab someone and place them in this environment. That's where the issue happens. And I think that's what happened with J3. This is the brain of the wife all of a sudden turned on, realizing that it was a robot that didn't even have legs, and it was attached to this device. That's what I was thinking. He's not nice. George.
Not only that, but let me complete and allude to that thought that once he shuts her down, she's listening, because he puts her in a hibernation state and he tells her, "You can still listen to me, but I need you to be quiet." And he brings her back again instead of finishing and just shutting her down for her own good. So he's risking more trauma psychologically to her OS or whatever you want to call it for the sake of research.
But what you've got to remember is that she wasn't the final product anyway. She was just a placeholder, so he didn't give a shit about her.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't his wife. His wife still had to be uploaded into that.
He did, but somehow she still created and emulated feelings on him that he had no control over. If not, he wouldn't have gotten freaked out when she went into bed and tried to sleep next to him. You know?
And what did I write when I watched that section?
Huh?
In our DM, what did I write? I've just created the most realistic sex bot ever.
Oh.
But
I don't know.
You know what? We were having this conversation with that Terra Alpha when we were watching, and he was like, "Hold up a second. He's not even using it?" Because remember, she does go into bed, and what he does, he screams at her to get out of the room.
Yep.
So he's like, okay, because
That was another hint too to the final outcome if you think about it.
I understand what you're saying because you would visualize, you would think, okay, but then when he does this, you're like, hold on a second, what's wrong?
Mm.
Isn't she the replicant of the wife, and he's alone in this place? What's going on? Why is he rejecting this? And that was
Mhm.
another hint.
Because
Now,
zombies can't get stiffies? I don't know.
probably. Now, one thing that I did mention that happens towards the end, and I want your opinion because this is one of those spicy topics that we always touch with transferring of the human mind is, do you think that even the transfer being successful, that was going to be his wife, or that was going to be an alternate continued version while the actual wife would just die on the box, or him otherwise talking in his reality? It would not be him. His soul would not be contained in that new body, probably, whatever the soul is.
I can stretch that even farther. Even without the transfer to the new robot to J3. I question the fact
If
that
it's him.
the one in the box is
Yes.
really them, because the body,
Mhm.
I mean, the body is dead, I know that, and the brain is supposedly kept alive. I'm assuming there's some sort of equipment that produces oxygen to oxygenate the brain, because that's the only part that is alive in the body. But I question if that is even the person, you
Or
know.
if that's just neurological uh, shock waves going through the brain that emulate his behavior and who he was, and the consciousness that stays stored in there.
Before Ray gives his opinion, because I want to hear his thoughts there too. The reason why I'm basing that is, even when you're alive, right? Everything that you experience is an interpretation from your brain. So you need light to bounce off an object so you can see. You need air to transfer sound waves to your eardrums. Um, to start, your eyes are seeing inverted, so your brain is making the best possible assumption of what it is that you're seeing. Case in point, when there's very little light at night, for example, how you tend to see things that are not there until you turn the light on, because your brain is trying to make sense of what is actually there based on the information that it's receiving. So even us, in the state that we're in today, the brain is making assumptions on every interface, let me call it that way, that our body has to interact with our surroundings. Now, let's go to this film. This is just the brain, right? That is making an interpretation based on what is provided by this machine. Because this face, this brain doesn't no longer has eyes. This brain no longer has ears. So, and we don't even know, the brain was used to the body. It spent most of his life getting used in learning how to use its body. And that's why you have the learning curve when you're born, and how your first steps and your first words is because your brain is learning how to use your body.
I call that the Google Gaga face.
Exactly. Now you take that brain and put it in this box. This is a different body. Now they has to get used not only to use this, but how to interpret the inputs provided by that body. So I know it's a long rant.
No. I think that it's even further than that, Robert. That's like towing a car on a flatbed. The car is still moving, but its engine and everything else doesn't belong to it anymore. And if you look at it from a car's perspective, the car still is moving and doing what it's supposed to do. It's moving from point A to B, but it's in a flatbed. It's not functioning anymore.
So Ray, I know I know I went on a rant, but I question, and this I wanted to say this because that's the reason why I question. Is it really him or her? depending on which perspective within the film you're in.
I mean,
This is the moment where you do this right, and then you answer.
look, I mean, it can go either way. I still think that it was a simulation being run by his original company to get him to finish his research. That would be the only reason that it was so complicated and didn't have anything to do with him finishing up his final
Research.
will and all those things. They were getting his research out of him before his brain died, basically. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea of being transferred into another physical form, like an immortal shell, as it were, has been questioned, the efficacy and the possibility, and is it still really you? Because you're not that collection of cells inside a skull anymore. It's a different medium. So is it still really you? And we can't really answer that with any sort of certainty until we actually achieve it, which is the thing. It's another case of suck it and see, as my old honor supervisor used to tell me. Because I used to ask him, how will this, what will be the result of this experiment? He said, suck it and see. Like, what does that mean? It means you've got to do it to know it. So yeah, I mean, we can't know what that will actually be until we've actually achieved it. We've done it. So yeah, I mean, it's been asked in a bunch of movies that we've covered, and we really won't have a solid answer until we achieve it in real life, because it's unknowable.
Yeah. And you know, it's kind of tricky though, because I think to really know for certainty, we need to be able to remove a brain, and I'm talking specifically about the question in this film, not in general. We need to be able to successfully remove a brain from its body, keep both alive successfully, move it into whatever this is, and then move it back to the body and get the response from the guinea pig in question. So we can take scientific observations.
Thank you, Dr. Frankenstein.
But you know, you see where I'm going with this and why. You know, it's insane. It's totally insane. But the scientific process depends on observation. And we truly will not know if we remove a body from its brain and use the brain. We really wouldn't. I don't think there's really a no to. There's really a. I mean, we can make observations. Don't get me wrong, but will they be the correct observations, or maybe? I guess the biggest question here is: am I overthinking this?
No, I don't think so. See, it sort of travels parallel to the thinking of, if you had a system which could emulate or simulate human consciousness well enough that they were indistinguishable from the original. Like if you could emulate take a copy of a person's neural pathways and emulate them inside of a suitable emulation device, so that the person being emulated, the emulation didn't know it was being emulated, would they give exactly the same response to the same questions as the real person?
Yeah.
Would all their reactions be the same? Would you know, like, it's one of those thought experiments where you're like, shit, could we actually do it? Could we emulate a person down to the level that they were identical to the real thing? And does that mean that we've actually recreated them, or is it just a really, 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 really good emulation?
I have had that thought experiment, and I call it thought experiment. Is me thinking, you know me.
Yeah, you do.
Even if even if you take it to the, let's say, multi-universe, and you're getting the same person, right? Or even even if you get the same person in the same universe, right? Let's say, for example, you're able to duplicate them from birth. Or, I mean, let's not go there. Let's say, for example, you're able to duplicate them as an adult. It doesn't matter, right? I feel that the experiences that they both have eventually would make them two separate individuals. I think, unless, which is very hard to do, to keep them with the same experiences, it's impossible in my head that that would happen. There's always going to be some differences in the experiences and their surroundings, and that's going to, even though they came from the same person, the same brain, the same neural pathways, they always are destined to become complete different individuals. I might be wrong, but
Renee.
I want to hear your thoughts on that. But I feel that we are who we are based on our experiences.
Well, it's genetics and physical experience. So there's a component of both. And while very small variations in experience may not have a particularly grand effect to make people different. I mean, even like blood sugar level, if that varied, or amount of sleep you've had, or what have you, people react differently because of these different experiential inputs. So, you might get differences based on physiological changes between the two individuals once you've cloned them and they become two separate things. And of course, the longer time passes and the more things they experience that are different will change them in different ways. So while you can get identical twins that have a lot of similarities, they're not the same person. So the moment you split somebody, made a copy of them, and they started experiencing things slightly differently, those differences would build up, I would expect, to a point where they would start reacting somewhat differently to each other.
It's interruption of broken continuity.
Now, I want to talk about George's behavior. And that is something that kind of bothered me in the film. I think Ray, I think Gio was in the same boat. So I'm kind of curious about your thought. I alluded to this in my rant about J3. But that extends to J2. I mean, taking in consideration that this, in fact, was some sort of simulation, right? Because we know that the other film that the one that is actually dead was George. Regardless of that, this is how he behaves. His treatment was more profound when we look at his interaction between him and J2. Gio, if you remember the conversation we had on our Discord watch party, do you remember details of the conversation that we were having about the interaction? I mean, we talked about a lot about this interaction. I just want Ray to be aware of that.
Are you alluding to the shift on his attention from J2 to J3 becoming neglective, very evident, neglecting his relationship with J2 and even being harsh and doing the whole opposite of nourishing towards her, like his limited resource of attention just shift to J3 and he completely threw the shit O2. H2 with that.
And blaming her for things that, I mean, granted, there has been occasions where she was blamed for something that she actually did, and she's denying is very obvious. But there's most cases she was blamed for stuff she actually did not do.
True. But
And
yeah,
that could
he's
be
very clear about that.
and that could be his archive breaking down and those effects of the breakdown of his archive that he didn't have an excuse for, he didn't have a reason for in his simulation. He had her to blame.
So you think that the archive is breaking, things are happening. So since he didn't have an explanation, he obviously didn't do anything. So he would actually find a scapegoat in J3, telling her.
J2.
No,
I
not
mean,
only that, I
J2.
have a very interesting theory that I just came out with while you were mentioning that. But I watched a documentary about murderers and people that are medically diagnosed as psychopaths, and it is shown on brain scans that there are parts of their brains that are completely different to the normal person and that lack activity. Therefore, why serial killer, like many names that we know, like Ted Bundy and people like that, they are unable to feel empathy or normal human behaviors. And if you think that this device does not keep the human body nor the brain alive for forever, and it could be detrimentally killing it too, or letting it die because it cannot keep it alive. If his brain is deteriorating, then think about it. He's losing all of these abilities to be who he really was, because his brain is lacking all these areas that are starting not to work progressively.
Well, the way I was looking at it, he's suffering from a dissociative disorder.
Yes.
Which the description of that is a mental health condition which involves experiencing a loss of connection between thoughts, memories, feelings, surroundings, behavior, and identity. So I would suspect that sort of dissociative disorder would come along with the brain shutting down because, it's dying. So that would explain a few things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I believe we are at the point on this episode where we ask the question. The last question that we ask in this show, if you're new to the show, is what was your final impression of the film? And I guess since I recommended this film and I watched it first, I would let either of you go first.
I want to go to Meet Heaven. It looked cool. I think they should put Meet Heaven in Cyberpunk 2077 as a new resource, a new bar that you can go into.
Well, they make it look creepy and odd when you go into the net.
Stay away from the tuna.
It looks like the veil that never returns, where Rage Barmos exists.
Oh dear.
Don't
I think this movie has a lot of fodder for deep thinking. There's a lot to it that I think I would benefit from another watch to pick up on a whole bunch of other things. Now I know the actual paradigm, because like I sort of had the aha moment and went, oh yeah, that and that makes sense now. But there's a whole bunch of other little things that I would probably pick up on. It's a deep movie. It's got a lot of detail, and it's worth at least one watch, probably several, I believe. It's a real shame that the pandemic screwed this movie over, because I think it would have been a sleeper hit if it had experienced a normal release, like other movies up until early 2020. Mm-hmm. And I do think it got screwed over a bit by the pandemic. But I never heard of it until these guys put me onto it. So thank you again for the recommendation. And this is what This Is Sci-Fi is about, getting recommendations to IPs that you would otherwise have never heard of, and really interesting. So Thank you. This is Sci-Fi. Thank you, my co-hosts, for putting me onto this one. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great little sleeper sci-fi. And I would highly recommend that if you haven't watched it already, go and watch it, although you should have watched it because we spoiled the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be concise and to the point with this one. This is to me a must watch of sci-fi. I agree with everything, and I second everything that Ray said. That's the reason why this movie was not a big success on the movies. That's the reason the year it came out. I think that it has a lot of potential, and like I mentioned, I believe this movie is a sleeper movie that is gonna age well because it is. Even though there's a lot of technical aspects of it, they keep it superficial, so it is all led to the viewer's discretion to interpret what they will. They don't really get you DC with more technical concepts on how he had his project going on. And I think that that's very good because it's very friendly to the viewer. Doesn't matter your background. It allows you to comprehend everything that is going on without much thinking. Yet the things that you're going to think about are the more philosophical questions that are encased on the events within the movie. And I think it's a must watch, several watches for sure. It's one of those movies for sure. And that's my last thought on this.
So for me, I would have to again second everything that was said so far. This movie was incredible. It's one of those movies that you're like, oh my god.
Becky, look at her butt.
Well, that is what Chaos said.
I like big droids and I cannot lie. Your other person can lie.
So you're a prototype one guy, are you?
Yeah. No arms. No arms, mom.
This movie, I would have to say, is a dream for the overthinker.
Yeah.
So if you are one of those like me that enjoy a sci-fi film for its ability to make you think about multiple subjects, this is it. It was well written, it was well produced in a way that they gave you what the answer would be at the end of the film, yet you still could not grasp until the very end when everything fits into place. This is a great film, and I strongly recommend it. If you are a sci-fi fan, this is it. This is one of the films that you got to watch. And I do agree with you guys when you mentioned the pandemic did the worst disservice that you could do to a film. But this film was incredible, and I think if it wasn't for the pandemic, this would have been a great hit in the theaters.
Mhm.
So if you guys have not watched it by now, please do and reach out to us and let us know what is your thought. What is your final thought on this film? Do you agree with everything that we just said? Even if you disagree, it's okay. We want to hear your thoughts on that as well. And that is my final thought. Okay. So are we ready for the next segment?
That's good.
The science and
Do you want to go first, Gio? Because my headset's just told me the battery's running flat.
Yep. I'll be quick. I didn't put a whole encyclopedia into it, but the concept of maintaining human brain alive without its body, preserving the essence of a person, has long intrigued scientists and philosophers. This idea rests on the premises that our personality, memories, and consciousness are encoded within the intricate neural networks of a brain. Advancements in neurological and technological have been explored feasibly to this notion through significant challenges remain. Recent studies have demonstrated progress in preserving brain tissue post-mortem, before death. For instances, researchers have successfully restored circulation to the brain of decapitated pigs, maintaining cellular function for several hours. And I mean, you see movies where, like Apocalypto, where you have that nice scene of the rolling camera down the pyramid. So, yes, They actually, I don't remember who was exactly, but there was this guy that, for the sake of research, he was in the guillotine, and no, it was gonna be decapitated, the Japanese guy, and he was reading something or like giving a story, and as he got decapitated, he actually finished the story with his head on the floor, which I think it was insane. But it tells you how long the brain can go on, or the head, without the body.
There was something similar during the French Revolution where they said that they would protect the person's family if he tried to give them some sort of visual representation after his head was cut off, like wink or something like that. So popped his head off and he was winking at them for about a minute before his head stopped moving.
Damn. Yeah, all for the search of the sake of research. Now, philosophical consideration for the brain in a bad. The brain in a bad thought experiment, a staple in philosophical discourse, explores the implications of disembodied brain substance outside of the body. This scenario raises questions about consciousness, reality, and the nature of experiences when sensory input are artificially generated, which we see pretty much clearly in this movie. While primarily philosophical construct, it underscores the complexities involved in replacing the body interaction with the brain. Despite these advancements, significant challenges persist. The brain dependence on the body's physiological system for hormonal regulation, immune responses, and sensory feedback complicates the prospect of sustain it independently. Moreover, ethical consideration regarding the quality of life, independent identity preservation, and potential for consciousness in the disembodied state necessitates careful deliberation. In conclusion, while the notion of maintaining a human brain alive without its body captivates the imagination and has seen some experimental progress, it remains within the realm of theoretical exploration. The intricate relationship between the brain and the body, coupled with profound ethical and technical challenges, suggests that realizing such concepts is a distant prospect. Outgoing research continues to shed light on the complexities of consciousness and the human experience, contributing valued insights to both science and philosophy. That's all for today for me.
Okay, so that's something that's going to be very much on point for discussion and moral sort of conversations going forward as these sorts of technologies are worked on, and they're going to be worked on. I mean, this stuff's been in the human consciousness for a long time. Can we preserve somebody after death, keep their mind alive, or take a copy of their brain functions and emulate them and all this sort of thing? And you see it in so many different sci-fis. We've covered quite a few of them now. So that is something that will continue to be thought about and discussed as the technology evolves and matures. But what I was going to do is a little bit on robotics, because that's obviously the other part of this movie's sort of tenets of futurism. So what we have here is it's a quiz. So we're going to do a quiz, something a little bit different. This is a multi-question quiz about robotics in 2024. So the first question is, in January, the company Figure said that footage of its Figure 01 humanoid making coffee represented a huge breakthrough. But why was this such a huge deal? Answer 1. It used temperature sensors and timings to brew the perfect cup of espresso. Answer 2. The robot made coffee much faster than any human could. Answer 3. It learned how to do it by watching humans and corrected its own mistakes. Or answer 4. The robot could taste what it made and analyze it like a barista. So which of those answers, gentlemen, do you feel is correct?
I want to go for 3 somehow.
Me too.
Bit of machine learning. Okay.
Yep.
So you guys are going down the machine learning route. I'm going for answer 1, temperature sensors and timings. But we'll click on this answer and see if it's correct. You're right. You were right. I was wrong. There you go. Okay. So question 2. An AI-powered drone that could theoretically hunt down and kill people was designed in just a few hours. But why did the scientist Louis Winnis create it? Answer 1. He designed it for a game, but then realized it could serve a deadly purpose. Answer 2. He was building it for the military. Answer 3. He wanted a drone to protect his house from burglars. Answer 4. He wanted to test how well AI technology could perform.
Well, I don't think 3.
1 or 4.
I don't think 3 or 4. In my opinion, I don't think 3 or 4 could be. It has to be within 1 and 2. To me.
I'm laying out to 4. What about you, Robert?
I'm picking 3.
You know, based on history, and you know what they say about history, we learn from our mistakes.
History.
I want to repeat 1 because that's usually what happens in scientific discoveries, where you build something and then all of a sudden someone in the military realizes they can use it for, hence the atomic bomb. So yeah. I want to go for 1.
Okay. So you've gone for 1. Gio, what did you pick?
4.
You picked 4 and I picked 3. That's difficult. We haven't got a consensus. Well, let's try going for 1 and see what happens.
was right.
Robert was right. Robert was right. So it was built in a game engine, and then they realized, well, shit, we can use this in real life.
Typical human, though.
Yeah, totally. Question 3. There were 2 attempts to break the speed record for a humanoid robot. The first came in March in the form of Evolution version 3.0, which hit 7.4 miles per hour or 12 kilometers an hour in testing. But what is its theoretical top speed with improvements? Is it 7.7 miles per hour? Is it 11 miles per hour, 13 miles per hour, or 45 miles per hour?
I'm
picking 45.
I'm picking 7.7.
Okay.
I don't know. I was thinking about 7.7 for some reason. I might be wrong, though. Let me see. Mark.
We're looking at a humanoid robot, not a robot with tires on the bottom of the feet.
Well,
so the mechanics kind of limited to a human capability of some extent.
What is the human? Because I'm kind of basing myself on a human's speed. Isn't it around 10 miles per hour? Top speed. So based on that, I want to say 7.7. Okay, let's see.
Both of you guys picked 7.7, so we'll go with that.
It
was 11.
Ray got it wrong too.
It was closer to human. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I would have liked to have seen like a psycho speedy robot, but I didn't get one. Oh, I'm surprised. Question 4. A new drone with a rotating detonation rocket engine hits blistering speeds when scientists tested in April, and the technology could one day lead to engines in commercial planes that hit Mach 9 times the speed of sound, up to 7,000 miles per hour or 11,300 kilometers per hour. But how fast did this drone travel?
The
old rotating detonation rocket engine, eh? Sounds like something out of Robot.
Detonator. Yeah. I think I heard of that. I don't know why I feel like around 300. I mean 3,000. And I'm trying to remember because I kind of heard something about.
I'm gonna go with 3,240 miles per hour too.
Okay, you guys pick this one. Now let me see. What do I think? After having my 45 miles per hour knocked on its head, I'm going to go. I'm going to go for the 3,240 miles per hour as well. Nope. 680 miles per hour, but still 680 miles per hour is freaking fast.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, question 5. Google built and field tested 2 sets of short and stumpy AI-powered robots against each other in a team sport this year to see how well they could play. Which game did they compete in? Was it hockey, football, soccer, or basketball? I think I know this one already, and it was soccer. Yeah.
Well, let me think about the viability. The only thing that kind of makes sense, let me see, hockey. The only thing that makes sense to me is soccer because basketball, I don't visualize a robot doing this unless soccer.
I think it would either be soccer or hockey because football, you need multiple players and you've got to pass and all that sort of stuff. Football, soccer is often called football in other countries. I mean, it could be either one.
I
of
imagine
these two,
Roomba soccer when I soccer and the robots.
Let's be clear. Only in the U.S. calls it soccer. Okay.
Yeah.
Australia calls it soccer as well.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, we do.
I am wrong.
And you guys don't have NFL.
well, we have other games called football. There's Aussie rules football, and there's football,
Rugby.
which is actually like rugby. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was proven wrong. Thank you.
So I'm thinking it's either one of these two, but it's on a terminology technicality. I'm thinking soccer.
I'm
we go with soccer
because it doesn't require, it just requires the robot's legs.
Yeah.
So
it's something like a Roomba rolling that can move a ball on the surface of the floor.
Exactly. So we'll go for soccer, and that is correct. Okay. So then, question number 6. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, designed a new underwater drone that can glide through the ocean depths undetected. But which marine animals is it shaped after? I already know this one. Options are manta ray, vampire squid, leatherback sea turtle, or Pacific octopus.
I want to say manta ray. I don't know why that's very clear to me.
I'm on the manta ray side of things too.
Pacific octopus.
Okay, we've got 2 manta rays, so I'm checking that one. And it was
you were right.
Loco Man was one of the most useful robot dogs that scientists designed this year due to which key feature? It could simulate hundreds of different barks. It could transition from 4 legs to a standing position to hold objects. It could run as fast as a greyhound. It could jump higher than any human.
I want to say 2.
Yeah, me too.
I want to say 3.
Okay.
So 2 of us picked number 2, so we'll go with that. And it was number 2. So it could stand up. Another DARPA project saw the agency consider 6 different designs for new kinds of unmanned drone. Which quality makes them so desirable? They can take off and land vertically from a stationary position. They have cloaking technology. They are completely silent. They can see perfectly in the dark.
I want to go for 1.
Yeah, I'm going for 1.
Me too.
And it was 1. VTOL. Google DeepMind experimented with a new shadow hand robot that is more dexterous than anything that has come before it. How did scientists test it out? By programming it to crochet? That's what I do. By asking it to paint a painting? By getting it to type sentences on a keyboard? Or by beating it repeatedly?
Nice.
Programming it to crochet, I think.
I think 4, depending on what instrument you're using.
I'm picking the painting.
You know what? I'm thinking that too, because that's like a very human.
Painting first, because I'm crochet.
You're crochet, we're painting, so we go for painting. Oh no!
Robert had it.
I thought that was too stupid to pick.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, it was right. Oh dear. Question number 10. How many questions are there? Jesus, it just keeps going.
A robot was 10, man. That's fine.
Yeah, a robot was designed to solve a Rubik's Cube much faster than any human could. How quickly did the system solve the puzzle?
Oh boy.
0.004 seconds, 0.3305 seconds, 1.5 seconds, or 3.1 seconds.
I don't know why 2 seems a lot more realistic to me for some reason.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. I think
I think it's 1.5, but you're picking 0.3.
I don't know. Let me think about this for a minute. Is 3 seconds enough? I don't think 3 seconds is enough.
Yeah, I've seen kids doing 3 seconds.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've seen humans doing 3 seconds. Super kids, but they done it. And under, I think that a world record goes right below right below 3 seconds. No, almost 3, but right below 3. I've seen some crazy shit, bro.
I don't think it's 1. That's way too fast. You have to turn and twist. Yeah, let's. I'm gonna go for 2. I don't know for you guys.
You think it's this one?
I'm
both you guys think it's this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, look, your house is not riding on it, Robert. It's okay. We'll just go with 0.3 seconds, and you were right.
Oh.
Yep.
That is
I think statistically, if a human being can do it under 3 seconds, a robot should be far superior if it has a good grip of it. And I think that they will design it to be able to do it properly without skipping or anything.
Yeah. So, in June, scientists created something that they said would make future robots more realistic than ever. What did they create? A robotic skeleton with human-like bones, self-healing living skin, fibers that resemble human muscles, a physical brain that can perform AI workloads. Wow, this is all out there, isn't it?
I am torn between 1 and 4.
Fibers that resemble human muscles.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going for. So we'll check that one. No, it was self-healing living skin. Holy crap.
That seems like sci-fi to me.
Hello, Alita Angel.
Well, I saw a doctor in Brazil that came out with a technique where they would use tilapia skin for people that had burn injuries, and the tilapia skin would heal the skin almost perfectly compared to a burn victim that you would notice the burn scars all over the skin. So I'm not surprised.
That is crazy. Okay, we're living in the future, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Question 12. A strange jumping robot could one day leap as high as 400 feet or 122 meters. Holy crap.
Wow.
Enough to clear the Statue of Liberty. But if we send it to the moon, how high could it potentially reach?
Ooh. That is a question.
Mars is 1/3 gravity. The moon is 1/8, I think.
I think 2,300 feet. He can go off the orbit, I think.
Yep, I think so too.
Yeah.
We all say 2,300. No, 650.
What?
600.
No,
wow.
So wrong. Okay. The second company to claim it had created the fastest humanoid robot in the world gave its Start 1 machine a special tool that helped it reach its record in just over 8 miles per hour. What was the tool? A pair of sneakers, a Fitbit, a tiny engine, or wheels?
A pair of sneakers.
Wheels would completely stop the whole fact that it's humanoid because it would be rollerblading.
A pair of sneakers, I think.
I don't. I doubt it's the sneakers, right? And the Fitbit is not going to help. So
Chaos says sneakers. What do you say, Ray?
I'm leaning towards sneakers.
I think I've seen about these though.
It is sneakers.
Wow.
Question 14. A new computer vision system could give drones the power to track targets in extremely low visibility. Which animal did the researchers look to for inspiration for this new system? Foxes, bats, cats, or dolphins?
Cats.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards cats.
Bats and dolphins use sonar, not vision.
Yeah, you're right, cats.
Yeah. And it was cats. Cat girls for the win.
That's why you got to be careful with cat girls.
That's right. Boston Dynamics robot dog Spot can now play fetch thanks to which breakthrough? Scientists simulated the mind of a real dog and loaded it into the robot.
There you go.
Scientists combined AI with onboard cameras so it could better track objects. Spot spent a month with real dogs and learned new behaviors thanks to AI training, like peeing on fire hydrants.
There you go.
None. Spot could play fetch this whole time.
I am torn between 3 and 2.
Yeah, I'm leaning on 2.
I'm leaning on 3 though.
Yeah,
Learning AI, learning behavior.
I'm going on 2.
You going on 2? Okay, we're gonna go for 2. It was 2. Yes. And the last question: robots in the future could one day tell how you're feeling by measuring what? Your sweat, your urine, your blood, or your saliva?
Holy crap, that's all invasive.
Sweat.
That's all invasive.
Sweat, because
Sweat's not invasive.
Sweat's not invasive. They just need to touch you.
You imagine a robot saying, "Oh, let me kiss you so I know how you're feeling."
Oh, they just have to lay a hand on your arm or just on your shoulder and be acting human though, and you don't know, and they're just testing, like they're just sensory, kind of like the little robot for My Wife Has No Emotion. What's the name of it?
Oh yeah.
My wife had no emotion. That anime.
Yeah, the little robot. Well, the little egg. That's what he does. He's and he has sensors that helps measure the vitals and everything of their owner, and I think it's Sweat.
I think you're right. We'll go with Sweat. Yes.
Wow.
Champion. We got 11 out of 16 by consensus. So there you go.
Oh, well done,
Nice.
Science Fiction Remnant.
Yeah. We're right up there. So if you want to give that one a go, and obviously you've just listened to all the answers, so you're cheating, but that was on livescience.com.
Nice. That was fun, man.
Yeah, that was a bit different.
Yeah. Nice.
So thank you for joining us on another way out there. I just found your message, Gio, on the show notes. Way to throw me off. And thank you for joining us on another episode of Science Fiction Remnant. We do really appreciate your patronage and that you come and join us and listen to our ramblings on new and favorite and old science fiction IPs that we happen to love, and we hope you love too. Of course, you can come and join us on our Discord and continue the conversation there. We'd love to talk to you about it there. Or if you've never used Discord before, it's pretty straightforward. You can download the app either on your PC or on your mobile devices. And all you need to do then is scan the QR code that's on the screen at the moment, or check the show notes for the podcast, and there'll be a link there, an invite link. Click on that one. If you don't have a Discord account already, then you'll need to create one. But once you've done that, then you can come and join us on our Discord and chat with us about the topic of this show or any of our other back catalogue. Or, of course, you can suggest the sci-fi that we could cover. And, of course, there's an opportunity that if you're like the local area expert on that particular IP, you could come on the show and be a guest and tell us all about your favourite IP. Of course, who doesn't want to talk about their favourite sci-fi IP? I know I do every week.
Hell yeah.
So you get the opportunity as well. So do hit us up if you have a favourite IP we haven't covered, and you'd love to talk to us about that on the show, because we'd love to have you. We have a couple of websites. The first one is sciencefictionremnant.com. That is our main portal for the podcast. You can find our currently released IP episode there, and you can also find the back catalogue where you can scroll back through a number of years now of episodes where we've covered the greatest and topical and historical science fiction IPs. And if you haven't seen that one there, then you can suggest it to us for a future episode. We also have this is sci-fi.net. That one's more for the creative side of people. So do join us on that one. It's in its early stages, but if you join now, you could be involved in shaping the way that website turns out for all the creators out there, current and yet to come. We have a Substack. Substack's an interesting little website where you can go on there and read posts put on there by creators on their own Substacks, and you can obviously check out our Substack and see what we've been talking about in the latest things to do with science and science fiction. We're also very busy on Threads these days. It's sort of like an alternative to X, because X has got a bit toxic. So if you're looking for somewhere that's far more engagement heavy, check out Threads. We're busy on there with all things to do with science and science fiction. Of course, creating a podcast isn't free. Robert's been covering the costs of that at the moment, but we do have a Buy Me a Coffee. If you'd like to drop us a few dollars to help with covering the costs of the podcast, we'd greatly appreciate that. As mentioned previously, we have a hotline. You can call that on 1-305-563-6334. That's 1-305-563-6334. There it is, scrolling across the bottom of the screen now. If you're on the continental United States, drop the 1, but the number's otherwise the same. You can leave us a message there commenting on what you thought of this episode or one of our other back catalogue episodes, or you can talk about what you're doing in sci-fi, and we will talk around that message if you're happy for us to do so in a future episode. Again, I'd like to say thank you for joining us. We do appreciate your patronage, and we'd love to hear from you on Discord or the hotline, what you thought of this episode and our other episodes, because engagement is what we're interested in. We want to talk about sci-fi, and we hope that you do too. Please come and talk to us on our Discord about sci-fi. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again on the next episode of Science Fiction Remnant. Bye for now.
See you next time.